In a quiet diner on a sunny morning, the world of an elderly war veteran was about to change forever. What began as a moment of cruelty turned into a powerful story of loyalty, redemption, and family. Welcome to HQ Infinite Stories. The diner was unusually still that morning. The clink of coffee cups and the shuffle of plates seemed almost too loud in the silence. Sunlight poured through the windows, catching the chrome edges of tables and dancing off glass salt shakers. At the corner booth sat Walter Branson, an 81-year-old Korean war veteran. Every morning at exactly 8:15 he took that same seat. Dressed in his worn flannel shirt and boots that had weathered more winters than most men in the room had seen, Walter carried himself with quiet dignity. His hands trembled slightly as he lifted his black coffee. His eyes were tired but steady, the eyes of a man who had once faced fear head-on in battle. But that peaceful morning was shattered in an instant. A young man at the counter, broad-shouldered, hot-tempered, argued bitterly with the waitress. His voice rose, sharp with arrogance. Then, noticing Walter's calm, unwavering gaze, his fragile pride cracked. With no warning, he stormed across the diner and struck Walter across the face. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Cups rattled. The room froze. Walter pressed a hand to his cheek, stunned not by the pain but by the cruelty behind it. The diner fell into a heavy silence. The waitress, shaken, begged the man to leave. Customers looked away, too frightened to intervene. Walter didn't fight back. He simply sat there, his weathered hand over the fresh brews, staring into the coffee he could no longer taste. He had survived worse in life, but his heart ached at the lack of respect he saw in the world that day. Time dragged on. Walter remained in his booth, his sanctuary tainted by violence, until the bell above the diner door jingled. In walked a group whose very presence shifted the air. Leather vests marked with bold insignias, tattoos curling down strong arms, heavy boots striking the floor. They were bikers, Hell's Angels. At their center was a tall man with a streaked gray beard and a gaze that commanded the room. His eyes found Walter instantly, and Walter's tired expression softened in recognition. The man was Thomas Branson, his estranged son. The thug who had struck Walter was still inside, laughing with a friend, unaware of what was about to unfold. But Thomas saw the bruise on his father's face. His jaw tightened, and his brothers in leather noticed too. The diner braced itself for violence, but Thomas didn't lunge forward. He walked calmly to his father's booth, sat down across from him, and gently placed a calloused hand over Walter's trembling one. For a moment, nothing needed to be said. The bond between father and son filled the silence. The thug sneered, finally noticing them. "What? You need your gang to protect you, old man." The room grew tense. The bikers stood tall behind Thomas, their silence more threatening than words. Then Thomas spoke, his voice low, steady, and sharp as steel. "That man you struck is my father, an 81-year-old veteran who gave more for this country than you'll ever understand. And you thought it made you strong to slap him?" The thug's grin faltered. The weight of the room pressed down on him, the stares of the customers, the silence of the bikers, and the quiet strength of the old man he had disrespected. Thomas never raised a fist. He didn't need to. His words carried more power than any punch. The thug backed down, muttering before fleeing into the daylight. No one followed. Shame was punishment enough. Walter exhaled, the tension melting from his body. For the first time that morning, he smiled faintly. His son had defended him, not with violence, but with loyalty and respect. Years of distance between them seemed to fade in that single moment. The waitress, still shaken, brought fresh coffee to the table and whispered her thanks. Around the diner, whispers rose, fear replaced by admiration. Some customers approached Walter with apologies and respect, ashamed they hadn't stepped in sooner. Walter turned to his son. His voice, raspy but firm, carried the weight of a lifetime. "I fought battles long ago, Thomas," he said, "but nothing compares to the fight of keeping your family close." Emotion flickered in Thomas's tough exterior. Blood mattered more than years apart. That diner, once a refuge for Walter alone, now became a place of reconciliation, a bridge between father and son. From that day forward, Walter and Thomas met there often. Sometimes Thomas brought his biker brothers who treated Walter with deep respect, and every time he entered, people remembered the morning when cruelty was silenced, not by fists, but by love, loyalty, and family. If this story touched your heart, please support HQ Infinite Stories by liking, sharing, and subscribing. These stories remind us that even in a broken world, kindness and loyalty have the power to heal. And before you go, do you believe kindness can heal broken families? Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know who your words might inspire today. Walter Branson spent his final years not as a lonely veteran in the corner booth, but as a father who found his son again in the most unexpected way. And to all who witnessed it, that diner stood as proof that respect, loyalty, and love will always carry the greatest strength.